All right. In this video, we're going to discuss about the perimeter of rectangles problems. Now, this is very similar to the problems we did in the last video about how we add two numbers together, a small number and a large number. And we had to find out what the small number and the large number are. It's very similar to those problems. So if you can do those problems, you should feel a little more confident with these. Now, when it comes to these problems, we are looking for two things: the width and the length of our rectangle. So the length of the rectangle is 8 inches more than its width. If the perimeter of the rectangle is 52 inches, find the dimensions. So we first need to establish what we are going to call width and what we are going to call length. Not like in terms of the values of them, but just like in terms of an expression for them. Now, in the problems where we had the small number and the large number, it never gave us anything about the small number. So we always called the small number x. And in this problem, it doesn't really tell us anything about the width. It just says the length is such and such, but it doesn't say anything about the width. So we're going to call the width, and I'll just call it w in this case. Okay, just to make it simple. We'll call the width w. I don't know anything about it. We'll just call it w. Now, length, though, I have some information on. I know that the length of this is 8 inches more than its width. So if I call the width w, 8 inches more than the width is w. Oops. Well, that moved it. Okay, the length would be w plus 8. Okay, let me fix that. W plus 8. Okay, because that's 8 inches more than the width, right? If the width is w, 8 inches more than the width is w plus 8, taking that width and adding 8 to it. Now, next thing that I like to do is draw a picture. Pictures really help me out here. So width is w, and length is going to be w plus 8. Okay. Let me erase this. It got a little bit out of the way there, or in the way there. So here's our perimeter. We have the width is w, the length is w plus 8. Now, I know that perimeter is adding up all four sides. So if I take all four sides that I see in this picture, right, and add them up, equal to 52, because that's the perimeter, I should be able to have no problem solving this. So perimeter is all four sides added together. So we have w is one side plus w plus 8 plus w plus w plus 8. That's all four sides being added together and equaling 52. Oops, I didn't mean to erase all that. Just trying to erase the line underneath. All right, so we have a big equation, w plus 8 plus w plus w plus 8. Just got to simplify it before we can solve. How many w's do we see here? We have a w, another one, and another one. There's 4 of them all together, 4 plain w's. If you combine them, that makes 4w. Then I have plus 8 and plus 8, which together, plus 8 is plus 16. And that, remember, equals 52. So when you solve it, subtract 16 from both sides, we get 4w equal to 36. And then divide both of those by 4. You'll see that w equals 9. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So remember, that is our width. The width is 9. We know what the width is. The width is 9. But now I need to find the length. Well, remember, we already wrote it. The length is w plus 8. So if w is 9, then the length is 9 plus 8, meaning that the length is 17. So our dimensions are 9 and 17. The length is 17. The width is 9. Let's talk about this next problem. We'll see how similar or different it is. So the length of a rectangle is 6 inches more than 3 times its width. Okay, the perimeter is 52 inches. So Remember, you have the width. We have to establish what are we going to call the width and what are we going to call the length. So we don't have any information about the width, so just like before, we can call it W, plain old W. Now, the length we have to be very careful about. Length, it says 6 inches more than 3 times its width. We talked about this in that previous video about the small and large number. 6 inches more than 3 times the width. It literally says 3 times the width. So we really know that it's got 3W in it because that's 3 times the width. But 6 more than that means adding 6. So the length is 3W plus 6. So when I draw my picture, I have W as my width, and my length is 3W plus 6. 3W plus 6. So there's my rectangle. Got my 2 sides with W, my 2 sides with 3W plus 6. Just like before, don't forget, perimeter is adding up all 4 sides. So you have W plus 6 plus W plus W plus 6. All 4 sides added up equals 52 in this example because it's 52 inches. So combine everything that we can together. Oh, I forgot the 3W. I apologize. 3W plus 6, 3W plus 6. So look at the W's. We've got 1, 3, 1, and 3. So count how many we have all together. 1, 3, 1, and 3. That's 8 W's all together because 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 3 is 8. So that is 8 W's. Now combine the 6's. We got plus 6 and plus 6 together makes plus 12. So 8W plus 12 is equal to 52. We just combined all those terms that we could. So now you just solve. Subtract 12 on both sides. We have 8W equal to 40. And then divide by 8. W equals 5. So that tells us that the width is 5. Now to find the length, remember, the length is 3 times W plus 6. So if you take 3 times 5 plus 6, you end up with 21. So our width is 5 and our length is 21. And the last one, we have the length of a rectangle is 8 inches more than its width. So we'll call the length, or we call the width, remember. We don't have any information about it, so we'll just call it W like before. And length. So length is 8 inches more than its width. So that's just taking the width and adding 8 to it. That makes sense? 8 inches more than the width is just the width plus 8. So W plus 8. Let's draw a picture. We have the width over here, and then we have the length, W plus 8. So when I solve this problem, remember, you got to make your equation, add up all 4 of these, and it's going to equal 56 for this problem. So you have W plus 8 plus W plus 8 equals 56. So solving it, we have 1, 1, 1, and 1. That's all together, that's 4W. And then plus 8, that's plus 16, equal to 56. Now subtract 16. This is 4W equal to 40. Divide by 4, and we see that W is 10. So now we have the width. The width is 10. So all we got to do to find the length, look back up here. It says the length is W plus 8. That means the length is going to be 10 plus 8, meaning that the length is 18. So the width is 10, the length is 8. More than 10, the length is 18. So there are a few practice problems. We'll go ahead and do those real fast, and then I'll end the video and we'll do the consecutive numbers in a separate video. So let me zoom in on this. Let it load. All right. The length of a rectangle is 5 inches more than its width. If the perimeter of the rectangle is 53, find the dimensions. Okay, so there is a decimal in this one, by the way, and that's okay. All right, so the length and width. Remember, we have to establish our width. Our width, we're just going to call W. Have no idea what it is, so we'll call it W. But the length, we know, is 5 inches more than the width. So if it's 5 inches more than the width, then it's taking the width and adding 5 to it. W plus 5. Width is W, length is 5 more than W, so the length is W plus 5. All right, let's draw a picture. So we have W, that's my width on both sides, and then my length, W plus 5, W plus 5. So to find perimeter, add up all 4 sides again. So we have W plus 5 plus W plus W plus 5. So remember, this is all 4 sides that we are adding together. Now in this case, it totals up to 53 inches, so equals 53. So let's solve. We have how many W's? We have a W, a W, a W, a W, just one of each. So that's together, it's all 4W. And then we have plus 5, which makes plus 10. So that's equal to 53. And then we just solve it. We subtract 10. So we get 4W equal to 43. And then we divide by 4. So W is equal to 43 divided by 4, which is 10.75. So remember, that's my width. Width is W, W is 10.75. The length is W plus 5. So the length would be taking 10.75, right? W plus 5, 10.75 plus 5, which is 15.75. There is my length. My width, 10.75, and my length, 15.75. All right, looking at the second practice problem, similar idea. Let's set up my width and my length. So the length of a rectangle is 7 inches more than 4 times its width. Find the perimeter if the perimeter is 114, or find the dimensions if the perimeter is 114. So we don't know anything about the width. We'll call it W again. But the length is 7 inches more than 4 times the width. So it's literally telling us 4 times W here. So the length will be 4 times W, and then 7 more than that means plus 7. So 4W plus 7. Let's draw a picture. W is my width, and 4W plus 7 is my length. So now add up all 4 sides and set it equal to the 114 inches. So W plus 4W plus 7 plus W plus 4W plus 7 is equal to 114. Again, this is all 4 sides being added together. So we got a few terms to combine. We got a W and 4 W's, a W and 4 W's. If I combine all of those, 1 plus 4 plus 1 plus 4, 1 W plus 4 more W's plus another W plus another 4 more W's, that is all 10 W. And then you're adding 7 and adding 7, so that means adding 14 because you're adding 7 twice. That's equal to 114. Now we solve. Subtract 14. So 10W is equal to 100, and then divide by 10. So we get W is equal to 10. The width is 10. But now remember the length is 4 times W, so 4 times 10 plus 7, which makes that 40 plus 7, which is 47. So the width is 10, the length is 47. And then one more. The length of a rectangle is 6 inches less than twice its width. So we don't know anything about the width, just like before, call it W. And length, well, we know that the length is 6 inches less than twice the width. Twice the width means 2 times the width. So twice the width is 2W. But 6 inches less than that means subtracting 6 from it. So 2W minus 6. If you're wondering why I'm putting the minus 6 after it instead of before, because sometimes people read this and go 6 inches less than 2w. This is wrong because when you're subtracting something, taking something away, you have to be subtracting it from something. So it's at the end because we're taking it away from the 2w. If we put it before, then we're taking the 2w away from 6, and that's not the case. We want to take 6 away from 2w, so we're going to have 2w minus 6. Okay, now let's draw our picture. Again, width is w. In this case, the length is 2w minus 6. 2w minus 6. And now let's make our equation. So all four sides, that'll be w plus 2w minus 6 plus w plus 2w minus 6. And this is equal to 36 for this problem. So let's count up the w's. We have 1w and 2 w's and 1w and 2 w's. So all together, that adds up to 6 w's. And then minus 6 means minus 12. So 6w minus 12 is equal to 36. So add 12. So 6w is equal to 48. Then divide by 6. And we see that w is equal to 8. So our width is 8. Now the length, remember, is 2 times w minus 6. So the length is 2 times 8 minus 6. That's going to be 16 minus 6, which is 10. So our length is 10. All right, that's going to be it for this video on the perimeter. We'll do everything else in the next video for the consecutive numbers. I'll see you guys on that one.